Okay, guys. So, welcome. Thanks for being here. Thanks for the space. My name is Diogo. I'm a, a steward of, of food forests here in Brazil. There are quite a few food stock forests that I helped establish in the region and in the country. And, I am part of a movement that gained a lot of strength in Brazil in the past 30 years, which is the syntropic agroforestry movement. There was a botanic scientist that decided to live in the farm and start planting food and planting. And he was a genetic researcher, and he was always trying to change the genetics to adapt to an environment. And he came after he had a disillusion there with that aim, and started to focus on changing the environment to adapt to the genetics. And that started to work on tropical forests in Costa Rica and came to Brazil in the 80s. His name is Ernest Getch, and he started to establish some principles um, to manage agroecosystems in a way that it mimics the natural systems. So before him, there was this agroforestry being done with monocultures, eucalyptus or pines, or maybe pasture, silvic pasture combination with these monocultures and cattle. But he came and said, no, we can put mandioca, we can put cassava, we can put corn, we can add bananas while the forest is growing, and then we can prune and interact with the different species, not as one species but as a one system. So he noticed that we can create a lot of interventions and made this some principles that then it was followed by the students of agroecology groups, um, and an entire culture of sharing these systems in the internet grew, and now you see a lot of people wanting to be part of the flow of life of succession, even if he's a doctor or a lawyer or whatever field. If they have a land, then they simply are connected with agroecology in some way. They've heard about this practice and are doing it, and some larger farmers also doing this, and tools being built and so on. So I'd like to now introduce a bit of myself. And I as a steward, I steward a ranch here in Minas Gerais in the mountains. We host volunteers. We built our house with a network of volunteers called WOOF. It's a well-known Web2 network. Uh, WOOF means Worldwide Opportunities in Organic Farms. So you can sign in and get a list of farms that you can visit in Brazil and be hosted, get food and shelter in exchange for some work, and do a lot of cultural exchanges. And well, we hosted more than 50 volunteers over the years. And one thing that always kept me a bit sad about this is that the people come and go and there's no trace. No, there's no certificate. There's nothing that, and even if there was a certificate, there was no context to which that certificate means anything. So I've always thought about this. About it would be nice if they could certify what they do and build a reputation, and learning of their learning, and over time, be recognized by what you've done and rewarded maybe. So that was the beginning, and we host people from different countries. We realized, we experienced in firsthand the power of internet. Back then, we most host volunteers around 2010, 2015. Then came the kids, and we kind of lowered the volunteering thing, but basically it made a concrete change in our ranch. We built a house together. They built our food forest. So it's like the internet's making a change locally, and it a Web2 network. So what would be the evolution of that, right? So into 2022, I participated in this hackathon with the climate focus, and at the time I was only beginning in the Web3 world, but I had a chance to team up with people like Magenta from Bloom Network, Darina, folks from the Cosmos network, and some others, Milk Money and all. So it was a reinforcement of this idea. What we made was just share diaries, agricultural diaries, as NFTs to be sold. So the holder of the NFT can have a link with the area being planted, and the steward, local steward, could have a new monetizing channel. So not depending only on selling products, and maybe having supports in the process. It was just an experiment for the hackathon, but was a good beginning. Since then, I started to build community and open a Telegram group and a Twitter account. And basically, right now, in the Telegram group, we together wrote this manifesto. There is more than 300 people there from different countries, different continents. And the document for the manifesto was open, so people could add. And in the end, it was there for almost a year. When I came back to it, it was so nice written. My first draft was totally transformed, and basically it brought a view of the moment we are now, and that basically the legacy of the ancestors is pretty much gone. We have to start on a zero level in degraded land, and that was because there was too many incentives for market-oriented agriculture, products to be sold. Community agriculture pretty much died. There is still some remnants in some countries, in some areas. People would trade favors, would give products, just as gifts or in exchange of, or in return from a lot of help along the year, things like that. But it's more and more rare. So the rural area became impoverished and people migrated to the cities. So, and now these rural areas, they need a very high energy input to be able to kickstart succession again, and be able to become healthy and wealthy again. Speaking about natural wealth. So there is the manifesto. We shared out the link in the end of the presentation. In the past, community agriculture existed and was focused on long term. So, this short term, I need to produce quick to sell, or every week I have to deliver to clients and things like that. There were no farmers in the past. And this concept of farming wouldn't exist. And what existed was a legacy of the work of your grandparents and grandparents that you were still harvesting nowadays, and you had the awareness and responsibility to improve it for the next generations. So research has shown that the Amazon was managed by the indigenous tribes. There was a lot of food forest there. Some species were brought from other countries and managed. In Europe, there are German techniques of food forests, Portuguese, Spanish, and like in Italy, the wine production. There are many wine farms from the past that use trees to serve as support for the vines. So it was an agroforest system, so using species that probably could be cut in the time that we need the sun to hit the leaves, and then during the fruiting period, the leaves of the tree could grow again and provide some shade, so the fruits could be less stressed by the sun. And this combination, these consortiums, they were so common, and they were all intergenerational. So we come to syntropic agriculture. This concept created by the Swedish researcher Ernst Götz, that was done by ancestral tribes, but he came with this modern look and designed these principles, understood these principles and make it possible to share and to others to replicate. Basically, syntropic means evolving from simple to complex, which is the process that life does, the method that life uses in the planet. It started as a unicellular form, became pluricellular, and started to produce tissues, organs, and organisms, always going from simple to complex. If you look at a tree or a forest, it's a very complex living system. If you set fire on it, it will go back to a simple form of minerals. So life transforms these minerals into a complex living system. So our food systems, they should also mimic that process and have this dynamics. So syntropic agriculture means syn to converge, and tropos, a tendency to converge. This comic book was created, and it's really good to explain the concepts. So the forest is a lot of different types of life forms together in the one system, and it's not standing there, it's living. It's not a portrait, it's a movie. So you think it's like that, a big shade, and the life forms over there, but then come a lightning or a type of environmental change, like wind that open up a clearance in the forest, and then the lights can enter, and the organic matters goes in contact with the ground. And then what happens is that the system adapts. There was a seed bank in the soil here that once get the light of the sun, they start growing. Usually there are some fast growing species, pioneers, that grow first, and the long term grow underneath slowly until the pioneers, which are a bit softer, they break, and the long term climate species stay. And basically in agroforestry, in the syntropic agroforestry, what we do is we replicate that with pruning and organizing the organic matter, and then planting. and so a concept extracts from observing the forests is that there are levels in the forest. So there's the lower layer, a shrub, middle layer, the high canopy layer, and the emergent layer that grows straight above all of them. The emergent layer is formed by species that need a lot of sun, while the lower layer tolerates it needs more filtered sunlight. So the systems that we design, they work with the shades. They are designed for the shade, and we control the shade. So here there is a methodology created by Ernest to design the succession of a system. And basically, he calls the early years of the system, the early phase, as placenta, where that there are the conditions are being built to protect and care for seeds, and it evolves to the pioneer moment when there are more trees, more branches, not just grasses and herbs like the placenta. Not so much of this soft tissue of carbon like celluloses, but it starts to bring some wooden material of lignin, and that lignin feeds a different type of fungi, a different type of life in the soil, and it all evolves together until the point that it gets to the primary or climax species. And there is this table where we can pick a moment like placenta 1 and different levels, and we can combine species in every moment, in every level, and we plant all of them together in the moment 0, in the beginning, right here. And then it's all managing, pruning, conducing, orienting plants to go this way, that way. Nature also plants through seeds. It doesn't produce seedlings in bags. So for every tree to multiply, they release sometimes thousands of seeds. So there is a few that survive. And the same principle is used in syntropic agroforestry. Instead of only buying seedlings, we also use a combination of seeds in large number, so to get a more diversity, more quality, genetic quality, and adapted species to that system, to that climate. And at AgroforestDAO, we made a web app to facilitate filling this table. I will show real quick here how it is. Hope you can see this new tab, right? If not, just let me know. Can you see, Josh, that one?
Yes. Yeah, we can see it.
So basically, yeah, you can pick species like emergent corn is an emergent species in the early placenta, the first placenta. Aubergine or rice can make the high level in these first months. Beans can be a medium level, medium to low level, and like rucola, rocket, or sweet potato can be the lower one. And this way we keep filling these blanks with species. We can add a species if there's not in here. Of course, there are not every species here, but we can create a database of cultivated species and not just like a botanic book. People just throw species here. No, it's something that is being cultivated. You work with. So this, once people come do this and save, they create a card for them. So there's the guardian or stewards, the mentor, the kind of planting, the name of the place, Morro da Redenção, Redemption Hill, and the city. And then they can, after they show that, they can send pictures to a Telegram bot that will make easy for the community to attest that that's what he designed in the table, in the design plan, and he's executing, and there we can see that happening. There are the species. Yeah, so coming back to the presentation, we are calling this our tool for proof of syntropy. Even though the pictures were showing a large area, it can be also used for only a small nests, small nucleus. I will go back to this planting and nests thing, but first I will pass a video, 2-minute video about Ernest Goethe and the way he does this agriculture.
Estas plantas crían en conjunto un macroorganismo. Eu tento, quando planta alguma coisa, de criar agroecossistemas de plantações parecidas aos...
Sorry. Pardon.
Estas plantas criam em conjunto um macroorganismo. Eu tento, quando planta alguma coisa, de criar agroecossistemas de plantações parecidas aos ecossistemas naturais. Primeira fase, então, paciência. Entre casa, maniveira, inhame. Esse rúcula vai crescer. É o meu mato. A minha capina é a colher 75, 70 graus para baixo. Faço um espelho, cria uma rizoma completamente e plantar eles no espaçamento definitivo. E sem irrigação, a gente não irriga. Não casa, a gente faz extremamente adubo. Somos animais, na minha hipótese, declarei. Como resultado da nossa atividade de produzir alimentos, nós podíamos melhorar o solo. Solo ligento e protegido. Tentar de nos reconciliar com o planeta e buscar a nossa são movidas pelo prazer interno. Então, para mim, esse aqui é um campo muito bom para se trabalhar. Campo de ensino, campo de pesquisa. Nós vamos plantar tipo. Ou seja, eu como agricultor acho dessa forma, onde o meu olho alcança muitas festas que eu plantei. E agora eu estou investindo. Milho está florido, os tomateiros estão subindo. Eu acabo linear, porque você vê lá na nossa cozinha, feijão azul, que é o tomate, depois dá a mandioca, e depois dá a o mamão, a pupunha também está subindo de novo, vegetação mudada. Você vê também a saúde das plantas, você não vê doença. Vamos criar clareira, vamos plantar floresta, para depois poder fazer outra. Ou seja, é vida, é fluxo, e não é coisa.
Yeah. So basically, it's different than like organic agriculture, for example, because it includes the flow. You don't restart again next year from zero. You start in the shoulders of what you built in the previous year, and so on. It's not like sometimes organic agriculture is only about changing the inputs, not chemical inputs, but organic inputs. But it doesn't necessarily include succession in the design. Here's an example of syntropic nests. First, in this publication, they call it island of abundance, but it's preparing a circle and planting leaves and legumes in the first months that then give, after harvest, they give room to cassava and another placenta 2 species. And then the bananas grow in the center, as you can see in this chart. They show the banana in the middle, some tree seeds also in the middle underneath the banana, and plants like papaya around it, and beans around it all. We make it. This one is 2 meters radius, so 4 meters long, wide, and it's quite big. In our area, pilot area, we made one that is 1 meter wide, easier to be prepared. And same thing, banana in the middle, jussara, açaí, also underneath the banana, coffee, and a bunch of tree seeds underneath, and then something to harvest for foods like pumpkin, corn, beans, and something to make shades to produce organic matter, biomass. So like margaridão, or also known as Mexican sunflower, this white bean, there's jack bean, agaves, some species that will just help in the initial years to change the microenvironment. So here's our nests. This high branch from the Mexican sunflower is there and making shade. You can see these red leaves of avocados, the bananas also growing there. Underneath, palm trees of jussara, açaí, coffee, this dark green coffee, baby coffee, and all covered with organic matter. So this is a syntropic nest, and this is the shape that we are incentivizing our apprentices to create, to steward. You know, it's not large. It's not like it's going to be the scale, the large scale, but it is enough. 1 meter wide is enough to allow someone to experience succession, to see how it grows, how to plan it, how to plan the thing first, and then executing and seeing 1 month, 2 months, what's placenta one, what's placenta two, what's the pioneer stage, and then what's the secondary stage, uh, how it all grows together, how one species helps the other. Because understanding this, I mean, experiencing this, I believe the person becomes more aware of their potential to make an intervention on land, and even to organize and to coordinate. You know, knowing that, look, I can do this with seeds and fruit species. It's so nice. I'll make 10 of these every year, for example, and it can also be very helpful for a digital community. So to attest people's engagement, people's learning, and evolve to larger areas, like someone that is being cultivating these nests and doing well is a very strong person to be supported to act on a larger area. So it's a way to build reputation, just at least to separate those that are involved with succession and those that are not, and this way build network effects within our network. And then it comes to belonging to a network, and belonging is interesting because it means acceptance as a natural member of or part of a community, of a place, of a system. A sense of belonging is also a sentiment, and it's interesting that it's also possession. I mean, not like I belong to a place, but also something. I belong to a system, or also a system belongs to me in a way. Even though we understand that we are just stewards, we don't own anything. We are going to die soon, and the systems will remain. But we care for it. It's a type of involvement, of belonging. I'm the one responsible to care for these systems over here, for example. And what we believe, like the question is, can we be part of agroecosystems and follow their successional flows online? You know, I can be here with my systems following them IRL, but I can be following Josh's, what's happening there in Portland or in Italy. If we are sharing within a similar framework with similar templates in a similar narrative, it's easier to follow each other, and we know it's long term. It's not like following some random agricultural venture for horticulture or chickens or whatever. No, it's following a process that will stay there for hundreds of years. It's rooting in the place. So it's quite different. And maybe we can visit them once in a while, you know, because they will be there forever. And at least for as long as we live, and we can get recognized when we do that, we can validate Josh's system when we go there and see, oh yeah, he says he has 10 nests with these species and they are really there and really good. And again, building our network wealth, and we can also invest in them, get nurtured by them, and leave a legacy after we die. And I believe we can. And like I said before, we need a global coordination to do that. We cannot just. It's a very strong cultural change, going from market-oriented mindsets to digital communities mindsets. So, but at the same time, it's not going anywhere. It's there. It's growing. People understand once they see it, once they experience it. So we have sometimes we say, "Oh no, I live in the city. I cannot do it." And right now, we don't have a good tool to assess land, a mechanism or a framework to assess land from the city. Right now it's like each one on their own. Either you have a land in your family or you have to buy one and maybe get some aligned people buy together, but still it's all about buying. What if we could just volunteer or just be a strong supporter, a close supporter of some land in Africa and help them go through these stages of succession and maybe visit that a few times and get nurtured by them in many ways. So yeah, we need to bridge. We let's say the tech savvy part of society that understands that is a need of coordination and understands Web3. We are the ones to build the bridge and create new forms to assess land and build this legacy. It's I feel like it's a more cultural approach cultural challenge than a scale challenge. Because if we can set up a few successional spots worldwide, they will produce a lot of seeds and also maybe produce more nests and more spots and start gathering people that wants to build a career in regeneration and be recognized. So here we are, recognizing people, building the bridges, and maybe one of the bricks of this bridge are the social tokens, the certificates that volunteers need to get. So regarding that, I'll talk more about what we're doing here in our pilot system. Well, we are doing a lot of education, both online and on land. We have the Telegram group, we have a Twitter account, and people that are following us, they end up that they start getting so many pictures of the same place in different seasons that they start learning something. It has an educational aspects. And at the same time, in the farm, we have hosted events with students. In this case, we spent a week with students from the city and a school from the rural town. They met together, visited the agroforests, and did some experiences, rural experiences, and something that they've never seen. They have never seen, and now they are invited to join us. So we talked about social tokens and some artifacts that are important in this rooted society that we want to build. So databases of species of seeds, like if I'm planting and stewarding these nests with bananas, for example, I have the seeds, I have the propagule or the rhizomes of this banana that means to multiply. I also have the banana product. We have we need to value the experiences. So from people coming to visit and see the place, see the systems or work in the system, and they thus build reputation and learn. And we can also identify items such as tools or gear that we need, like in the early stages, we will need like a scissor for branches, for pruning branches, small branches, thin branches, but then soon we will need a saw, and maybe in the future we will need a chainsaw. So the process of managing food forests starts with the soft tissues of the placentas, and then enters a lot of wood tissues to manage. So at the same time, if we can do this while building knowledge, while updating our profiles, sharing our milestones in this journey, learning how to design systems, having support to design systems, and connect with others and share seeds and tools and labor. This way we can build community and focus more on community than on markets. So we can reward community building, hosting events, hosting people. We can also have marketplaces for the products and experiences and exchange that can happen. But we can have this marketplace also helping support, feedback the process of learning, of apprentices, and rewards for stewardship. So it's a flywheel that has long term, and we believe that building reputation, we can also and engaging, participating in helping to establish food forests, we can also, when we get old, be supported by this the impact that we had in the system. So in our land-based pilots, what we've done is in the last spring, almost 1 year ago, we planted in a gathering, kind of a work party, mutirão or minga. We came, first we prepared the nests, make a hose, put some compost, mix, cover with straw, and then we will come with seeds, sticks, and plant in the nest. And this way, by planting nests, things go very quick, and with a lot of people go very fast, and we were able to establish 160 nests, syntropic nests in the area. You can see them here with the bananas, and there are many lines like this. In between the lines, we planted crops like corn, rice, mandioca, so we can also produce food in the early years. We use NFTs. We create NFTs to attest the people that provide the seeds. For example, here the banana rhizomes were prepared in my house by this couple, Zil and Katja, and I couldn't done that alone, all of these, so they were really important. So basically, we created an NFT and sent to the multi-sig related to that pilot. So there will always be there this NFT showing the people, describing the people that participated. So we can, when we are selling products in the future, we can say, oh, it was these people, so let's add them.
Sorry about that, everyone. Cool, we're back.
Okay. Yeah, so we know that, this can be automated. We can think of some smart contracts or type of NFTs that can do this, but right now we decided to register by creating this NFT, assembling to the multi-sig. It's very visible because we still don't have this digital infrastructure and knowledge to set up that. So we wanted to make the register. So there is. We started also last year. The first thing we planted was beans. So we sold some NFTs, a collection called Feijão Amigo, that had the goal of supporting the costs of producing the beans. And that the holders would receive 5% of the harvest. We sold 10 of them, and it really helped to start in the first months. And then when the first spring, the first rainy season came, we planted syntropic systems. So we planted the nests, the syntropic nests, and created an NFT collection about them. Basically, the goal was to support the annual costs of stewarding the nests. Weeding, pruning, feeding with organic matter, these kind of things, harvesting. And when someone buys the NFT, the value goes to a split contract that has the agents involved in that nest, and the holders then are recognized and will have participation in future returns offered by the nests. that starts with the bananas in the second year, and fruits, avocado, acai, jackfruit. Also, they get access to our calendar and the activities that we host in the place. And yeah, these NFTs, they have a picture of the nests and also description of the species that are there, and also this designation A1, B9, B11 or A11, which is the position, their position in the area. So here we have the line A and the nests that come in here. So there's this survey, this spreadsheet, like A1 has this species growing, A3, and so on. It's a model that we felt useful for us, and that can serve the community in the future in joint ventures or other types of collaborations. Here's an example of the split. So what we're doing, we're tracking agents' contributions to our agro ecosystems. So the artists that created gets 10%. The global multi-sig gets 20% of the sale of an NFT. The local team multi-sig gets 50%. And the remaining 20% goes 10% for NFT holders. You know, the guys that bought that NFT in the previous year, because they have 12 months lifespan. They are annual, so you support that year. And if you support this year and someone is going to support 2 years later, you know, you get a little bit of that because you were there in the beginning helping. So you are also considered. Even though it's not a lot, it adds up if you can support many food forests, you know. And the other 10% goes to the seeds providers. Like in this case, banana was those 3 people. Jussara was myself. Avocado was from this Tatiana. Jackfruit was brought from Rio by this couple, Vini and Vanya. Coffee, Tarcísio brought. So, you know, it is a way to link these people with the evolution of that food forest. It can all be part of one contract, but right now what we do, we sell them on OpenSea, and if it's sold, I manually go and then add the value to the split contract on split.xyz. So it's manual, but we are trying to prove a concept, test a concept, and so far it's working well. We are now preparing a learning journey for the apprentices, Brazilian apprentices, and it's going to start next month. How would it work? Basically, the journey, the apprentices, they will first start learn about Web3. They will learn about, you know, the public goods ecosystem, the refi space, and then they will learn about AgroforestDAO. and the proof of syntropy tool. So I will go with them. We will prepare a table like this from their area. They probably, people that do agroforestry in Brazil, they are familiar with this table. So I think it's going to be not new for them. And then they will have to send some proofs, like a photo of the seeds they are going to use. So the seeds of the species that is in the table. And then the place that they are planting. All this geolocated, so we can have the picture of 2 years, 2 months, sorry, how it's growing. And then, like in this case, 4 months, it changed. So placenta 1, there is plantains, there are beans, the banana just starting. And then a placenta 2, there's a jack beans, the corn already old, and some Mexican sunflower. And underneath, we can see they sent the picture in the bottom of the tree, baby trees growing. So jackfruit here, this ingá, ice cream bean, avocado. And then after 6 months, another photo of the same place. And then annual updates. So once a year, people take a picture of that place. Say, look, it's like this now. Here's another example of a syntropic nest in Redemption Hill. So basically, we can see bananas and Mexican sunflowers making shade. So it's sunny outside, but here it's shady. It's a microclimate. And then we look down there, we'll see the coffee, the palm trees, jackfruit here, ice cream beans between the bananas, all growing in the microclimate. So that's a very important concept, to combine these species to produce bananas while the fruits are grown, and something that we want to recognize people doing and reward them for this. Yeah, so thank you again for your attention. There's our link tree. There's please drop your email in the chat so we can send you the follow-ups of this talk. Thank you for being here. Thank you, Ethereal Forests and Open Civics for organizing this. Yeah, I'm up to hear from you. What did you guys think? If there's any questions, please.
Thank you. That was amazing. Yeah. Does anybody have any questions?
Yeah, I wanted to say that, like, I think it's so cool, and like hopefully it's like I predicted it'll be a theme that that in the middle of the talk there's this kind of process of becoming like empowered by realizing that you can influence and start out this process that ends up being so powerful and so long lasting. Just that idea of like there's a kind of like false agency and freedom that involves like the ability to like hoard money and buy a lazy boy and go to Walmart or something. And then there's a sort of different kind of agency that involves participating and immersing yourself in these systems, and it ends up being it's like on the other side of agency and freedom and individuality and autonomy is the discovery of entanglement. Just sort of thematically, I want to say that. But also, I wonder what specific, like, I wonder if you could lay out what specific help this proof of concept would need to scale. Like if there's, it almost strikes me that we could use Local DAO Summer to develop a little small offers and needs market and sort of delineate specific types of labor that would be labor expertise that would be needed to turn the manual processes and the automated smart contract-based process there.
Yeah, I always have this view of scaling in a decentralized way. So not making a huge farm with thousands of these, but having thousands of people with one of these. Because right now I think this early stage is more of a cultural ground, to have people assess succession, experience that, and say, whoa, this kind of thing exists. Nobody taught this in school. I don't see my mom, my fathers, and grandfathers doing this. And there's people that recognize that. That's cool. And that's a first stage of scaling, in my view, when more and more people are connected with succession. And then once we are in that scale, we can say, look, how about we throw 1,000 of these with you, Josh? You are experiencing this. Let's evolve. How about we throw a showcase area by the road that takes to New York, so people drive through and once a year see that and say, oh, it's changing. It was grass and now it's evolving to trees, and they cut the trees and there's another layer of trees also there, and there can be done, that there's not only just eucalyptus monoculture or grassland for cattle. There's also different way to interact. So there's this level of scaling, the cultural scaling, and having enough for our events, for our nurturing, but and a second moment that I believe that we can have joint forest ventures with on the ground scaling and producing and supply chains, really, so that's these two levels that I envision. Hope it helped. Who else? Van King, please.
Hi. Wonderful presentation. Thank you so much for sharing.
Thank you.
Yeah. So my name's Van. I live in Costa Rica, and my project is not, it's adjacent to what you do, but I have some experience in terms of what it is you are trying to create in terms of the cultural movement, not necessarily the Web3 component to it, but we went through this exercise during COVID when we had no food. And so this amazing group of people who is a spin-off project to mine wanted to educate everyone. And they had this goal to have 1,000 home gardens, kind of like these nests, in the backyards of all of these people who needed food. Because what we were doing is we were supplying them with a month of food for a family. And we thought, you need to learn how to grow your own food. And it made sense to us as we sat at the table and said, these people need to become more resilient. But they didn't. And so I think what you're talking about is the cultural movement was the missing point in the experiment and where it had failed for us. We only were able to get, I think, 142 home gardens, and then 2 communities actually did their own, they're called like huerta comunitarias, so community gardens. And so if you're interested, I'd love to connect you with some of the members that we have that were part of that experiment, and they are running very similar projects up here. I think it's incredibly important. Like I said, I think there's a lot of information in the failures that we had. And I think there's a lot of information that maybe if we tried to do something like this again, I love the decentralized model because instead of getting 1,000 people in one area, you can get 1,000 people growing together. And I think that has a lot, a lot more impact, or has a lot more potential. So I'm really excited about what you're doing. I would love to continue this conversation offline, put you in touch with our people, and then we can talk about it, because the cultural issue was the biggest issue we had, that their family weren't farmers. So therefore they didn't have a frame of reference, and they were using very technical teachings. Like you need nitrogen in the soil, and you need this, and it, like, we can use better tools to say, take a picture of this leaf, and if it looks like this, then you have a deficiency. You don't have to teach them the science behind it, right? So yes, I just wanted to jump in and say, well done. I would love to connect with you offline and continue to have dialogue around your project. So thank you again.
And thanks so much. Awesome to hear your experience. Let's connect. Guys, please drop your emails in the chat. We're going to send emails later. I can relate with the difficulties of establishing community gardens, especially if by gardens you mean horticulture or annual crops and stuff that dies after 2 years, the most, not perennials. Like we like, if we add seeds of perennials, stuff that, forest production, well, the project failed. Yeah, but if the first months were successful, the tree is still there. It's growing, It failed in a way, but maybe the birds are eating and spreading seeds, and it will always be in the memory. Look, this tree is here. Yeah, it was financed by a group of internet people. It leaves the trace. It keeps the trace. So there's always a lot of value and a lot to learn from every experience. Thank you so much for sharing. And I find very important also, that these communities worldwide that share this understanding, that we exchange, that we create internship programs, volunteering programs, exchange in that sense. It is like, I'm doing this, a lot because of my kids. I had the chance to go for a foreign exchange program in US, in Europe. I learned to speak the language. I learned so much, had so many good experiences. I want to offer this to my kids. But I don't have the money that back in the day my parents had, my grandparents, and to send us. So maybe I could send them to Costa Rica when they are a little older to help volunteer in the farm, learn Spanish, learn English, be recognized in the network. That's so valuable.
And we can send people to you because we're growing the same crops. So one last thing I wanted to note was we did find a lot of success and a lot of traction with women. Women stayed around the longest, and one of the farms and projects around our area, it's an all-women's co-op.
Cool. Yeah, good to know that. Yeah, where I am, the women are really keeping everything together there. And we are opening for cohorts, and we should take that into consideration. Thank you. Niti,
Yes,
please.
hello everyone. Hi, Diego. Lovely talk. I'm joining from India where it's almost 4 a.m. right now.
Wow.
So thanks for an energizing start to the morning, really. I'm curious, like, one is like, have you heard of Auroville in India? It is like an international self-governed city in South India, and where I worked for a year on a research project. And they have an incredible story going back to the 1960s, where it was there was barren land, and this entire community of people from across the world poured into this city. It was a height of the hippie movement as well, but they managed to resurrect that barren land, rejuvenate the tropical evergreen forests in that area, and it's like a miracle story to the local community there, because there's a local legend that says that, you know, people from faraway lands would come and rejuvenate their land for them, and that is what happened. So it really speaks to, you know, what you were mentioning about, you know, moving from land ownership to something like a belonging, or, you know, sense of belonging that the community can feel towards a particular piece of land. As someone who does tread the real world and Web3 world myself, I have like 3 questions. One is like, what would you say is the USP Web3, or, you know, offers to your project, and how do you communicate that to a community that may not know how Web3 works? Like Van was pointing out, part of the cultural challenge is also dealing with people who don't know much about forestry or planting things themselves at one stage, and second, at another level, it's also like no knowledge of how this whole Web3 thing is going to help them. So how do you tread that sort of sensitive area when dealing with communicating with people and interacting with people in your project? And I also saw you mentioned you use hypercerts. I also use hypercerts in my projects. I would like to know more of how you use that.
Cool. Awesome. Yeah, amazing story. You know, there are so many examples of humans, you know, regenerating the landscape, and there are a lot of people that have been doing this for a long time, the masters, and we could, once we are a community, strong community, we can, you know, go to the masters and bring them to, or create an experience with them and recognize them and acknowledge their contribution, you know, and even like think of retirement, or thinking of some support. Yeah. Sometimes they get old, they cannot do the same work as before. You know, they have, maybe they break, have some injury or something. They need support often. So important that we recognize them and consider them in the splits of our marketplaces, you know. But, and also, you know, yeah, have them linked, you know, via hypersearch, for example. You know, they were responsible for that area. That area generated new areas, and those early workers and agents, they need to be recognized. That's an incentive for people to start working. This possibility of being recognized in the future. So we use a hypersearch to certify the people that came to plant our system. You know, volunteers, many of them have never planted anything. They came for 2 days, and and did a tremendous work. It was, planned. There was a strategy to simplify things. Not work with seedlings makes everything easier and faster. So yeah, it's a good thing to do a panel deeper into hypersearch and all that. But these are ways that communities can register in the on-chain that these people participated, and it's hard. It's hard. Like some of the folks that came lost their wallets. We have to bring them up in again in new certificates, but it's a possibility. It's a possibility. I've been onboarding folks for 2 years now, and we are opening now. We're going to start a campaign to spread the word about our learning journey cohort, and there will be, I don't know, all kind of people that know Web3, people that don't know Web3. But I've been very dedicated to the Web3 community. Make them learn about agroforestry more than to the agroforest community to learn the Web3. I don't know. Maybe now it is going to change a bit. Maybe now with this cohort, there will be more on the ground people. But we have to do the bridge. We have to do the bridge, And there are, I am not an expert, but there are some tools now that are very easy to use. It's no code. It's useful, like a multi-sig wallet. In my country, for a local collective, to organize, to have funds, a treasury, they have to pay the banks. They have to create a judicial person and pay banks and accountants, and you can go in 5 minutes online and create a wallet, digital wallets for everybody. So this was the first tool that we used, Web3 tool that we used when we got the prize of the hackathon. And from there, the certificates, the hypercerts, these certificates, they become very useful if we have a narrative around them. It's not just throwing certificates or throwing POAPs around, but having a use case for that in the future. Maybe even if you don't know what it is now, but you create spreadsheets, you have people's address, you can use it like for token gating, for permissioning. We now use a workspace called Charmverse that those that go through our journey will be able to create a profile there and edit and bring more information about their place and their the systems, so we can further the cooperation in the future. So first filter is doing this proof of succession, and then we have a page, you have a profile together in our workspace. Let's go together now.
I appreciate how these channels are multi-capital. There's this knowledge share and potentially this financial resource share as well.
Yeah, the badges, recognizing people, apprentices, guides, mentors, masters, supporters. We can. This is social capital. This is intellectual capital. So we can just have an icon that show this guy knows about carpentry. He's a carpentry mentor. That's already very valuable, and then we can evolve from that. There are so many experiences on exchanging value, vouchers of commitment, like grassroots economics is doing, and we can also do that.
The internet is such a dark forest when it comes to financial relationships. But if you start the relationship as an intellectual or a social, if the channels are erected around other forms of capital that are less zero sum, then organically the financial relationships can sort of network grow out of that.
True. Yeah, and especially if there is a rooting process going. If it's only social, there's a danger of ending, because depending on economic situations. But if it's rooted, it will stay. It will support the social development. And well, are we having copying the emails, Josh? Yes, please.
Yeah, I've been collecting some of them.
Okay.
Cool. So we have 5 more minutes if anybody wants to ask more questions. I don't know if we got to all of them that we've had so far.
Thank you so much, Nidhi, for being up to this late and sharing that. It's honored by that.
Thank you. Actually, really, like I said, energizing start to the day. And I'll stay connected and push forth the hypersearch movement as well. Yes.
I will also add our link tree in the chat, so you guys can contact us, follow us. Very active on Twitter and in our Telegram. Yeah, there's actually a book on rooting, from Simone Weil. Are you guys familiar with that?
Did you say Simone Weil? Like the
Yeah.
Catholic? Oh yeah, big fan. Big fan. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a very expensive book in Brazil, so I haven't read it yet. But the need for roots, right? So
Yeah, I think the book is partly like a takedown of the Roman Empire, so it's kind of esoteric. But I haven't looked at that one. I know about debt creation. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It talks about belonging. Talks about the effects of people having to migrate and go to new places and roots, all that history. Okay.
Yeah, we should talk about that. We can move it to the chat, but we should talk about that labor, that hypersearch and labor panel. Diogo, do you think you would have time to participate in that for that week?
To hold that? Sorry.
So, you think you would have time to participate in that panel for that week?
Yeah, totally. I love to hear different use cases on the hypersearch. Okay.
I just got flashes of like anarcho-syndicalists, like organizing at the tree that the tree that showed all the contributions over time, but it's like the time adds like a whole new access to the to like collaborative or like to like basically worker cooperative.
Yeah.
It's like that's what the NFT allows is to add in that extra dimension of collaborative like labor.
Yeah, I mean, see, we can jam on that use case of NFTs, but like if you give us a seed of a peach tree, for example, from your backyard, we plant it, it grows, and say, look, this peach comes, from excellence, and I go to some crypto conference and take the seeds and give it to someone, and someone plants it, and then look, this peach comes from Diogo, and that comes from excellence, and we keep creating a chain of this, of tracking this, the involvement of people. We're not tracking the genetics, but the people that participated in it. So this kind of lineage, I find it very important. I find it can be a use case for NFTs. I don't know which one exactly would be the one to perform this, but it's something that is very fractal also, right? So, because one seed of peach that Exion gave us created like 20 seeds every year. So it's like you become part of something that can scale, that can grow exponentially.
Awesome. Well, I think we'll wrap it up there. Let's all give another round of applause for Diogo.
Thank you.
Yeah. And yeah, let's follow up. Let's follow up in the Telegram chat about this other, hypercerts and labor recognition panel in a couple weeks. Cool.
Awesome.
One seed leads to another.
There we go.
Cool. Bye-bye, guys.
Awesome.
Thank
Thank
you
you, everyone.
That was awesome.
Thank you.
Bye. Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Ciao.
Awesome. Well.